And so this is my criticism on the black community as a whole, which is something we were talking about last time, which is the lack of organization that we have is absolutely ridiculous. And also the lack of accountability that we have for each other. Like, you can't tell a black person nothing.
When I look at like black-owned businesses where you can't even critique a black-owned business because you're just automatically supposed to support them. But why would I want to buy this $50 shirt from this black-owned business where the dude, I can clearly tell he just has a shirt press in his house and he's just taking a $5 Walmart shirt and just stamping something on it. Now he's charging $50. But then people are like, oh, were you willing to spend $50 for that Nike hoodie or whatever? I was like, yeah, but at least I know it's coming. It's got a better quality to it. And then at least I know that the business is going to be open on time. The customer service is going to be there. Because like with black-owned businesses, we're just supposed to be okay with them like having weird hours, weird way of conducting themselves, and lack thereof of customer service.
I'm gonna respond to that, but I need to ask you a question. Who do you think is more receptive to criticism, black men or black women? Be honest.
In my experience, I would have to say black men are more receptive to criticism.
Right. Because men in general are more receptive to criticism. Like that video you were watching, that lady was saying that you can't tell a woman the truth no matter how you say it. And this wasn't our words. Whose show was that?
It was just some woman who I guess is a licensed psychologist on TikTok. She was talking about how in her years of being a psychologist and a therapist, she had all the women that she works with, they aren't receptive to accountability and criticism.
You know, and I blame, and I'm not going to forget the previous point, but I do want to touch on this. I blame the way we raise women because we are taught accountability and criticism at a young age, if not by our parents, in the form of sports. Sports is, as a kid, we get our first jobs at like the age of 10. When you play football or basketball or nothing, you got a job. You got coworkers, you got a manager, you got hours, you got to be there. Like if we're at practice 2 days a week from 6 to 8, that's a scheduled shift. If you miss it, you don't get your payment, which is playing time. You know, if you screw up, there was punishment. We learn accountability and we used to get coaches talk to me in ways my parents never would talk to me. You know,
I remember I was a stocky little kid playing Pop Warner football, and my coach, when we would run hills, he was like, "Get your fat ass up that fucking hill." I was like, my mom they never talked to me like that.
Exactly, but that it seems cruel, but you were able to go through the military, get yelled at, because man, we've been getting yelled at since we was 12.
Right.
The people who are never athletes have a hard time in military or police. Actually, I've heard military, police, or fire. I've heard people who are in the hiring process say that when it comes to hiring anybody, they really would rather hire athletes to get into military, police, and fire. They would rather have athletes, particularly people who play athlete at least a varsity level, because if you play varsity in any sport, unless your school was just absolutely terrible, there's a certain amount of commitment that comes with it, a certain amount of accountability, and boy, let me tell you, you get criticism.
Right.
Like that is our first job. Like we're trained to work from a very young age. And a lot of girls either not put into sports, not saying that they're not put into extracurriculars, but I've seen the girl basketball teams. You cannot talk to them the way you talk to the boys. You just cannot. And that sets them up for failure in the future, because now when you do criticize them, you the monster. But we grew up hearing that. That's why I think that they're.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're dating a woman, and you can express like why you don't like something, but you always, like as a man, you always have to think about not only what you're about to say, but how you say it. Because you can be completely right in what you're saying, but if they don't like how you're saying it, they'll shut down completely.
Even if you try to tiptoe around it, and then they'll be like, "Well, how come you don't talk?" Because when I open my mouth, bad things happen. Well, I could tell you, this conversation is going to start with me expressing a grievance, and now I'm apologizing for how I expressed the grievance. Now I'm comforting you for inconveniencing me. I'm comforting you for inconveniencing me. Now that doesn't say don't communicate, but like I said, we were grown up, we were raised in a very critical way.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps us, but that also, I wouldn't say it hurts us at all, really. The only way it hurts us is in the way we communicate with our women and sometimes with our children. Like, some dads really have to be taught, like, yo, you got to chill out how you talk to your kids. But even then, you'll see dads talk to their daughters differently than they talk to their sons.
Mm-hmm.